What's up? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this video we'll be solving the remaining part of this series, and we'll be making the next schema, which is the car availability, and the reviews. There will be also conversations and the messages schema which we need to make. If you have seen my previous video, then you will get an idea that what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you have not like fork this repo, it's a front end, you can fork it. If you want, you can start it. If you want to follow me, then you can follow me on the GitHub, as well as this is the schema. Let me tell you that where we left in the previous video and what are we going to make in this video. So I think we have made this car, we have made this brand, which is the schema. We can now add the cars along with the that URL. We can also add the brand along with the media, small, medium, large. And now in this video I'm going to make this table, which is car underscore availability. In this we are going to give an option to a vendor, basically that what is the start and the end date that the car is going to be available for. And the logic for the, let's say the car is available from 1 to 30, and let's say car is booked from 5 to 10. So now car is available in like from 1 to 5 and then 11 to 30. Okay, like 1 to 4 and then 11 to 30th. So this car is available in these dates. So this logic we will write in the backend, that we'll check that car's ID, we'll check if there is any booking, upcoming booking for that particular, if that booking is going inside that start and end date, and then we will reduce those date, and then we will give the option to the user when the in the front end we have the calendar, when the user books. So in that calendar we'll show those 5 dates as a block date, so user won't be able to select that. So from 5 to 10 user won't be able to select that. So I don't want to make the schema complex, so I just kept it simple, that start date and end date. And yeah, so this is only this much. So let's make the car availability schema. So this is the backend for like a project, and let me just zoom and just go to the Prisma. So as you can see that we have the cars, the car model, it is in the Prisma. Okay, so let's make another schema. So let me add model. So it is also giving me suggestions, I think it is Copilot. So let me just write car AVAI availability. So it has given me some a snippet. So let me see, I need the ID, yeah, I need it. I need the car ID, yeah, I need this. And the car relation will be car ID, reference should be ID, yeah, start date and end date I need it, and the created at and updated at, yeah, I also need this. So if you can see that when I just, let me just do Control Z, so it will be undo. So if you can see, I am getting one error, that error validating field car in the model car availability. So when I just save, I have one extension which is of the Prisma. So when I save my file, so it will automatically add the car availability referenced in this car. You can see this. So whenever I call the car API, I can check the reference in the car availability. Okay, because we have the reference of car ID in this car availability. So it means that we can also call the car availability data inside the cars API. And now it is done. I think we can proceed for it, because there will be reviews model also. So that is also going to be part of this. So let me just add the controller, also the validation for it. So when we are calling the add car availability API, so there is going to be some request body. So let me add that. So this is the validation. I'm going to write this inside the car validation because it is a part of car. So let me just copy this and let me just paste it over here. Just need to change the name over here, so it's going to be car, add car AVAILABLE and BLITY validation. Okay, and now it is now okay. So let me just add car ID, because see, when I am going to add the data inside this, what I need to give, I need to give the car ID. Okay, because I am adding this for that particular car. So let's say I am having a one panel, admin panel. Inside that I have one car. Okay, I have added one car. Let's say it's Audi. And when I click on that car, I should have one pop-up. Inside that I can add the start date and end date. So when I'm pressing OK, or whenever it is add or submit button, so inside that I'm going to send the ID of that Audi car. So this ID is for that. Okay, and it should be a UUID is UUID. Okay, we need to check if it is a UUID because it's definitely going to be UUID because we have all IDs in this format only, but it's just one check from the express validation. So let me just add one. It's not going to be empty definitely, so it's having one message. So that message is going to be valid car ID is required. So body will also contain one start date. Yeah, it has given one suggestion is ISO 8601. Okay, valid start date is required, valid end date is required, and there is not going to be any price for the availability part. So this is now done. So let me just add the logic for the next thing, which is this. If any errors happen, so request.files, this files is for the brand. Okay, we added this for the brand, so that is why we kept as a files, but here we do not need this. Here what we need, we are just going to delete this. We are going to need errors. Okay, and we'll just check if errors is not empty. Okay, if errors is not empty means error is there. So response dot status 409, and I'm just going to give this. Okay, 409, my bad, so it is 400. So errors dot error dot array. So errors will contain the array method. If you see, array is the method inside the errors object. Okay, so now what we will do, instead of just like the next, there is something we need to make sure that we need to take the start date and end date, and we need to check that the start date is greater than the before than the end date. Because let's say user says that start date is 6th of May and end date is 1st of May, so it's not valid. So we need to have that validation even before a user calling the controller function. So new date, start date. Okay, and it should be greater than or equal to, because we are also providing the vehicle for an hourly basis depending on your customization. So let's say that some vendors don't want that their cars should be given hourly. They definitely wants a day at least. So you can just remove this check, but let me just keep it for myself. Okay, so I'm going to show this message, but I'll show in an array format. Okay, so let me add one array, and inside that let me add one message. Start date must be before end date, and parameter will be start date, and location is body. So something like this, because we are already know that the errors is in the form of array. Okay, so this is why I have kept the errors in the form of array. And let me just add next over here, because we need to now if this is valid, so we need to pass the request to the controller function. I think it is done now. Can we use this? So let me just copy this and let me just check that if we have any route. So definitely we are not having any route. So router.post, and here I am going to add availability. Okay, so this is the car availability, and I'm going to remove this everything. Let me add car. Okay, so something like this. I have added the validation, and let me tell you that we have added the that authenticate over here. So when user hits this cars, so authentication going to hit automatically, then only he will be able to proceed to the next route. So it's done now. Come to the car controller, and there we need to add one route for the specific car availability. So yeah, I'm going to add this. So it has added for us. So we need the data, and we don't require the user body. So data is going to be there, request dot body. Okay, and over here I'm going to add const cars. So await, and here I'm going to add car availability. Okay, we don't have service yet, so I'm going to just add one message, added car availability. Added car availability. Yeah, so this is also fine. Okay, and once we have error, it will show us error. Okay, so what is the remaining part? Remaining is the only one part, which is this service. Let me add another service, export add car availability service. So prisma dot car availability. Okay, it is not showing us suggestion, so that is one thing, because we have not run the migration, I think. Okay, it is in the like the underscore, right? So okay, let me show you how to get the suggestions. If you see that when I am pressing this dot, I'm not getting car underscore availability. Okay, that thing. So for that, let me just tell you the command for it. So if you go to the package.json, if you should see this prisma, so this should do the work, npm run prisma. Okay, so now there is also one thing, that is the table generation. So for that we need to run this command. So let me just add this command, and once I hit this, it should add the table for us. So you see, okay, so it has added the migration. So now it should show us the suggestions, prisma dot car underscore. You can see this car availability. So dot create is a car id. Okay, so here we need the car id. We get it from the data, and instead of from date we have the start date, instead of to date we have the end date. From and to is also fine. I'm not going to add the price, so it is now good. And here let's add car availability service. I'm just going to pass the data over here. So once I have this, I'm going to, it's not going to be the cars, it's not going to be the cars, it's going to be response, or you can just say data, so it's up to you, something like this. Or oh wait, I think we are doing some mistake. Okay, so response comes and we need to pass this, and over here, so car, okay, car availability. So when we add the car, so what is the data that we get? Car availability. So let's say car availability in the camel case. Let me just write, okay, and I'm just going to pass this. Yeah, added car availability. So it is now I think good to go. So let me just run the server, npm run dev. Yeah, Multer server is running on 3000. Let's go. So let me go to the postman, and over here let me just copy this, duplicate, and Let me just rename this, add availability. So the URL will be localhost colon 3000 slash cars slash, let me see it, what is the actual, the route for the cars. So it is actually availability, cars availability. So it is not get request, it is post. Let me add this. Okay, let me add the raw. Okay, now it is giving us error, cannot post cars add availability. Okay, so we are missing the API over here. If you see on the index file, we should get, so no token is provided. For that I think we need to go on the sign in. If you see, I think we have the login API. Yeah, now we should get the token. Copy this from here, go to the availability authorization and go to the bearer. No, not bearer, I think bearer token. Go to here, over and just send the request. Okay, so now it is working. So we get this validation error, car ID is required. So just go to any car in the database. Let me just go to database. Okay, and from here just go to any car. So let me just go view all rows and let me just see what's happening. Okay, so this is the Mercedes. Okay, AMG by Mercedes. So I'm going to add this car. I'm going to add availability for this car, and let me just show you the availability table. So when we run the command availability, so we should have that table. So let me refresh this. Okay, you can see that car availability. So go over here and see. So this is the table. We need to add the data in this table with reference to the car ID. So go over here and write the request body car ID. The ID is going to be this, not double quote. Okay, this, and the start date. Let me tell you the start date. So how it is going to be. So when you see the car, how you have to pass the date. So you can pass the date in the ISO format. If you see, let me just show you that validation which you have applied. So that is the car validation. See, is ISO. Okay, enter a valid start date is required and valid end date is required. So let me just give this date, start date. Let's say I give only the only the quotes, and I also give here only quotes. So is it going to show us that error? Yeah, valid start date is required, valid end date is required. Now let me pass this date. Let me see what happens. Now let me pass this date. So what is this date actually? So it is June 11th. So it is the June 11th. So let me do one thing, that end date should be before than the start date. It should show that error which we have added. Somewhere over here we have added this error. So it is going to destruct the start date, end date, and it's going to check the start date and end date. If start date is greater than end date, okay, so that this is going to show us that error. Let me just click this. Okay, so we got the error, start date must be before the end date. So the validation is already done only for the dates ascending or descending order. So start date must be before than the end date. So now let me just make it. So I'm just making that start date is 01 and the end date is June has, let's say, 30 days. So let me just hit this, and okay, so cannot post car availability. Okay, till now it was working fine. Okay, I think it got crash. Oh no, it didn't. Okay, so valid end date is required. It is working and it should be before, and now when I do 30, so it is giving cannot post API cars add availability. Okay, so I think let me go to the route, and over here go to the cars route and over here. Okay, so only validation part is done. We have not added the controller which we made over here, which is needed to be add. So let me go to the cars route and add over here availability ty car controller. Yeah, now it should work basically. Okay, we got one error, so it is showing invalid. Okay, and it is telling that start date provided date object is invalid, expected date. Okay, so it is showing that it is invalid, expected a date. So where the error is from, over here we got this create invocation. So when we go to the car availability, when we are going here, over here we are wrapping it inside the date. Is it necessary to wrap this? I think it is not necessary. Okay, so let me just remove it because we are already passing it into the correct format. So let me just wait a second. I think it is also fine. The issue is something different. So we are passing, if you clearly see, we are passing it from start date to end date, and over here because that that recommendation gave us this, so actually I didn't see that. So let me add the end date, and I think it should work. If it didn't, then we need to remove the new dot, new date. If most probably it will not give. Okay, so added the car availability. If you see, the car ID is this, the car ID is this, and it has got a separate ID. So this new date is not issue, the issue was something else. So let me go to the pg admin, and over here let me just go to the car availability, and over there we have this one new row which is indicating, let me zoom for you, and which is indicating that this car ID is belongs to this cars table. Okay, so now it is how it works. So let me add it for the S class also. If you go to the postman, and over here if you go to the car ID, if you change this now, and yeah, the start date and date going to be the same. So yeah, now we get this. So this is for the cars availability, and we have added this. So we can also make one API to get the data from the availability, because in the front end part to show this, we can when the user calls the car API, one separate car, when user clicks on one car out of 30 cars, so we can like calculate this logic in the back end. When user calls the get car by ID, we can show the availability dates array, or else we can show, this is the one way, or else we can also give one thing when the user calls the get car availability get car API. So at that time we can call one get car availability, so it is going to just return true or false. Based on that, we are going to show the proceed button or not. So once user start to proceed into booking flow, then we are going to show one calendar. So there are many ways that we can do, but it should be minimum clicks should be there for the user. So that is the best user experience you can give, along with the best UI. So I think this is good for now for the getting the cars API. So I told you that there is going to be the many ways. So getting the car availability API is also needed for user to get the availability of the car. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to give the inside the car API, because in get availability user will only get the start date and end date, which is of no use, because there could be the overlapping bookings, so that I need to calculate in the backend by checking it into the bookings table. So I'm working on that. So you can also make the get car availability API, there is no issue. Let me just add the next thing, which is the review. So if you see the table, this chart, so we have made this car availability, we need to make this reviews. So what is basically a review? So review is a basically one feedback which is for the purchase or the service that user has experienced. So let us say that user has experienced some kind of service, in this case it is a car. So user need to give one feedback, so that feedback is going to be this reviews. So who has given that feedback? It means that is the user, to whom user has given that feedback. In this case it is a car ID. So let's say a user has given the review for Mercedes AMG. So there should be linking reference to the user ID and the car ID. That's it. So this is for the user ID, if you see. So this is for the car ID, and the other things are necessary, which is the rating, going to be the float 1 to 5. Comment whatever the feedback user has given in the form of text, created at and updated at. So let's make this. So go to the Prisma, close this terminal, and it's going to suggest us, so model reviews. Yeah, it is smart. So ID is this UID, car ID car, user ID user, rating, comment. So yeah, there is one change. Rating, see, 4, 4.2, 4.3. So it's going to be float form. And comment is not optional, it's mandatory, and the created at will be definitely now updated at as updated at. Okay, so reviews is now done. Let me remind you that review is definitely for the cars, there is no doubt, but there is to keep it generic, as I told you that the brand is definitely related to car, cannot make the another route for that, but if you want you can. But for reviews I have decided to make another route. It is related to car definitely, but it's going to look and the code will be cleaner if you make it into the separate file. There are the rules which you can set for your project, I have no issue in that. So let me add reviews route.js. Let me copy some of the code which we need. Okay, let me, I think, delete this as well. First of all, I need to add one review which is for get, another one will be post, and that post will be only add. I don't need this location, I don't need this. Okay, let me just save this and let me just remove the terminal. So get is fine, let me work on the add, because we need to get the reviews and show to the user. Okay, and add the validation now. Once you go to the validation, I'm also going to add a separate file for the validation, separate file for the controller, separate file for the service. Now it will be validation.js. So let me just copy the previous code and paste it over here. Instead of validation location, I'm going to add validation review. Okay, so let me see if AI it can work or not. Yeah, it is powerful. So car ID is fine. Is UUID, I think I need to add UUID. Okay, is not empty or is not required. This dot, let me remove this. Car ID must be valid, UUID. We are not using Mongo. Yeah, let me remove this line. And user ID is not required because the token is already having the user ID. Rating, yeah, is not empty. Let me remove it. Is float, min 1 max 5. With message, rating must be between 1 to 5. Yeah, good. Now let me add a body. Okay, now this will be comment. Comment should be not empty, and with message comment is required, and also dot is length, at least some length it should have, so it is 500. Comment should not exceed, something should be there, right? Over here, must not exceed 500, must not exceed or should not exceed, anything that you want to write. Let me remove this now, and over here errors, validate errors is empty, 400 is array, next. Okay, so it is now good to go. Okay, let me just go back. Over here we need to add that validation which we have added, okay, in the that validation file, in the add here validation location or validation review. Okay, over here let me add one controller, review.controller.js. okay, now because we have added a separate review controller, we can have 5 controllers, one for get reviews, one for add reviews, one for delete review, one for put the review. Put review is for the updating review, if we are going to give that update comment. I think user can update the review. Suppose by mistakenly he given 1 star, so there should be an option to revert that, right? Because the vendor's cars will have the bad rating. So let me just copy, or let me just see if it gives a suggestion. Export const add review. Yeah, wonderful. So we get the car ID, rating, comment, but we are not taking the user ID from the user. Okay, mind let me just remind you. So I'm going to make one data object. Over here I'm going to destruct request body and the user ID. So we get the user ID from the token which user is sending, not in this form, we are getting it in this form. Let me show you that as also, if you are the new user. So in the middleware over here we are making the user ID, we have added the key. So now the review, I think we have not run the command, that Prisma migrate, that is necessary, right? So let's do that. Let me go to the previous file and let me just do that here itself. npm run Prisma, npm run Prisma :migrate. Yeah, so now you should see the suggestions from here. Prisma dot reviews dot create. Okay, it is doing one sad thing, which is not valid as per our project. So it is fine until over here. We do not need to add any logic over here. Just add a try catch block. Okay, and over here let me just add one util, which is error response res, and the error. Need not to add the message because error will already have that. Over here just write the const review. Okay, const review, await, and let me just add semicolon and this return success response, and over here let me add the res and the review, and added the review successfully, or review added successfully, anything. Let me save the file. Now we need to create one file which is for the service. Okay, so this file will have all the reviews, logic for the database table. So let me write review.service.js. Over here we are going to write export const add review service. Okay, something like this. Yeah, cool. Review is going to be here. We are not giving the try catch block over here, so review will be await Prisma. Let me import the Prisma from the client. It's reviews create. Now the data, it is an object, so whatever the data is coming, we can add it simply, and you can just add the user ID over here. So it is now good. So let me just add review service and pass the data. So now it is done. Can we test it now? Let me see it. Yeah, it is running successfully. So let me just go to the database, that database, and let me refresh it by basically create refresh. So we have this reviews. Okay, just go and click on all rows. Over here we have this car ID, user ID, and so on and so forth. So go to the Postman availability instead of. So yeah, let me add the controller inside the route. So it is the validation which we have added. Now let me add review from the controller, and let me mention it over here because we have added the reviews. Okay, but what about the index route? We have not added over there. So let me add that. It should be using that. So let me add reviews. Okay, and over here review routes, and then it should come from slash review route.js. So it is review. Okay, review routes. When I go over here, let me comment this. Now it's showing the app is crashed. Review route. Okay, so it is saying that validation is not, it needs that extension for the controller as well. So imported review controller.js client in this service file. If you see, we also need to add that js over here. We also need to add that over here. Also we should go to the service file, and we need to add the client.js. Now it is showing it is running successfully. Go to the Postman. You can also use TypeScript. Let me remind you, I have created this for the people who are new to this world of backend. If you use the TypeScript, then it's going to be better for you, and it's going to compile. So once you save your file, it's going to create one JS file automatically, and TypeScript will be for your reference that if there is an error. So API slash reviews slash add. So rating must be a number, comment is required. So car ID is there, review user is already it has got because we have added the authorization. So the only part is comment and the rating. Let me add rating. I'm just going to add one float number, so it's going to be 4.5 because it is S class car ID. Comment is going to be comment. So my experience with this car and vendor is so good that I want to book this car for my next vacation. Okay, something like this. So Prisma reviews create invocation foreign key constraints violated on the constraint review user ID F key. So it has given us an error, constraint reviews user ID foreign key. So it is related to the schema which we have made. If you see, everything is right, just it has violated the foreign key constraint for the reviews user key. So go to the schema and let me just review it. So what is the thing that we are doing not good? So ID is there, UUID. So can you see that user ID is there? So I have got the error, and the actually error is not related to the schema. What I did is I went to the Postman, I hit this API, and the first thing that every developer should do is the debugging before even reaching out to the conclusion. So the issue was I went to the add review, and over here I just added the log, and when I hit the API I got the log, and inside the log I got the car ID, rating and comment, but I did not get the user ID. Then I thought, hey wait, I'm passing the user ID in this because we are getting it inside the auth middleware. But the thing is that when I went to the index route, I checked the reviews and I found that we are not passing that middleware. So it means that anyone could access the API without the token. So even if you are not passing the token, the API will get hit. But the API got hit, but there was no user, so there is no use of this particular thing. So these things happens. So we waste a lot of time into something which path is not even we should not even go to that path. So we end up wasting 1 or 2 hours on that path. So I think before getting to any conclusion, we should make sure that what is the truth, at least 10% should be truth, then we can waste our time into that. So yeah, this is authenticate, I have added it. So once we hit the API, review added successfully, and it is added for that S class car from my user, which is Mukesh. If you see on the database, I checked just now that if I have the user. So yeah, it is the 6F and EB. Okay, sorry, it is for EB John. Okay, so this is now good, but we can do some changes in the code. If you see, we are passing the data like this by adding the user into it, passing the data over here, and we are also destructuring data as well as the user ID, which is of no use. Else what we can do, we can just write this something like this inside the something like this, because the data is in the same key, the same key is over here. Once we hit, it should do the same work. But only thing is that when we are seeing the code, we might get confused at a time that hey, data is coming, data is passing, what's the data? So we don't have the TypeScript. If we had, then when we hover on it, we should get the idea of what the data we are passing it. But now here we have to come down and see that what data actually is this body is containing, and we can get an idea from the validation which we have over here. Let me see on the database that if we have the data in the tables. So it is actually on the reviews table. Once we click on this, we are definitely seeing the data. So what if I tell you that I want to make the API for the get reviews? So for that, let me add the slash route, and we don't require the validation for the get the API. So for this, what we need, we are already having the authentication hook, which is the middleware. So I'm going to make one controller for the getting the the reviews. So I'm giving the name over here. The name should be related to the get. So I'm just adding over here get reviews, so something like this. Okay, so now request response, we don't need to pass any kind of data, we just need to add one service inside. I'm just going to add reviews and going to pass the reviews and fetched. Okay, the keyword is fetched reviews. It's the plural, not singular. Fetched the reviews successfully. So go to the service file, and once you go to the service file, you should write the service for it. And the service, let me add the get review service. It's going to be very short code, get review service, and not this much big. Okay, I'm just going to return review, and we are not going to like take any kind of ID. Whatever the reviews are, we are going to pass get it. Okay, if you see, let me just clear one concept for you. Okay, so this is the get reviews API. Let me just go back. Okay, so this is the add reviews API. So when we are getting the reviews, okay, so imagine this, there are two scenarios: getting the all reviews present in the database, be it 1000 or 1 lakh, so that is of no use, or get the reviews of the API, get the reviews of particular car. So let's say I have thousands of cars, I need a review for specifically to that car. So do you think that getting the all reviews present in the database is of any use? No, right? So in this case, we need to pass one ID. On that ID should be not of a user, but definitely we can fetch the reviews given by that user, but that feature is not going to be in this application, or else we can give, but we need to fetch the reviews for particular car ID, if you see. So in this case, it's going to be the request params, so we need to pass it via params. Okay, that car ID, and in that case it is going to be :id. Okay, so this is how we can send the ID via like parameter when calling the API get, and we can also validate that. And let me add the get controller over here, get reviews, and when I go inside this, so I'm going to give the name get reviews. I'm not going to give a name get reviews by ID, because anytime we are getting the reviews, it's obviously going to be via a particular car, like the ID of will be the car. So over here I'm going to get the data. I'm going to make the data user ID request dot user ID, and car will be request params dot ID. I'm going to pass this to the service, which is get review service, get review service, and over here I'm going to get the data, and we are going to destruct this, and let me fetch it like this. Okay, if you see, reviews will be Prisma reviews find many where car ID, okay, where the user ID. We don't need to pass the user ID in this case, because a car has many reviews by many users, so we are not going to show it only for the user which is logged in, so we don't need this over here. So in this case we also need not to pass the user ID. So where the car ID is this, include user, select email, image. Okay, let me see if user has this much properties. it has the full name, true. Full name, email, I think we don't need to show this, but media, image, let me just go and see the Prisma for the user. User has name, email, okay, media is pending. Okay, for now we just need this full name. I think we are good to go. Okay, let me just open the Postman and copy the car ID. I think I added for the, can you see, reviews, car availability reviews. Let me refresh this reviews so we can see car availability reviews, this one, view all, and over here, yeah, we have car ID. Now I'm going to pass this add. Okay, it's getting added. So for the get, I'm going to get this. Okay, not found. I'm going to pass the ID over here. Okay, fetch successfully. If you see 1 2 3, now it is for the availability. Let me just duplicate this. Now this will be for get reviews, and let me just copy this. Okay, so it is for the adding, it is for the fetching. Let me go and add it over here. So no token provided, let me provide that as well. To the get reviews authorization, JWT over here. Now it will work successfully. 1 2 3 reviews, got it. And over here, go to the body, change it to the post and reviews. Just I need to add it for another car. Let me test it. So that another car will be, let me see, it should be I think this 501 AMG. I need to add a review for this because, yeah, now it is added. So when I'm getting the reviews, so it is giving it for 1 2 3 4 cars. So what if I need to see the reviews for the AMG by Mercedes? In this case I'm going to add the ID and over here. Okay, if you see, we should only be getting one car. So this is for the getting the, you know, one car, like specific to the car ID. Let me remind you, you can also add the validation for this ID. Okay, over here, and that you can add it because I know that it's going to be having the ID, so I have added it. So I think in this video we should stop it because tomorrow I'll make another video for the remaining part. Let me just remind you what is remaining. Bookings is remaining. After that, the payments table is remaining. So bookings will have the statuses of the booking status, payment status, and the remaining field pickup, drop off, and with driver total price. We have remaining the notifications. So we are going to send the notifications via FCM push notifications. We have the conversations and we have the messages. So conversations will be the, you know, the part where all the users conversations can be seen, like the Instagram's conversation. When we click on that, the messages should be shown like the previous, you know, the older messages till the recent one. And it's going to be the socket.io for the real-time conversations. And if you have seen this video till now, I want you to comment it on this video and hit the like button. I know that you are obviously hitting the like button. Do share, subscribe this, you know, video channel, and just comment down what are your thoughts on this, what kind of area that I need to improve, and what do you want like me to like suggest me. And join my Discord group. Till then, bye bye, stay happy, stay safe.